Howdy folks, Grok the Duck Farmer here, and let's talk about farming. I know we all get that urge to go hoe and to farm, and so there comes the questions of what's the best way to farm, or how can we make it farm faster?
Or how can you get out of the doghouse with Mrs. the Duck Farmer?
That too. So let's go ahead and take a look at various options as far as vanilla and modded Minecraft. Now, are these all the options to speed up farming? No. But these are a bunch of the more popular ones. And let's take a look at what we got here. So this right here is your standard 9x9 plot of ground. It's been tilled, it's been hydrated with the water in the center, and I'm using carrots because I don't have to worry about seeds. It's just carrots. So that works out very nicely. So this is your kind of bog standard farming plot. But over here, same thing, except we've got stripes of plants here. We've got carrots and potatoes. Because as I understand it, the plants prefer to be in rows rather than big solid blocks. But I've never tested it before, so we're going to go ahead and find out. Now, this over here is an unhydrated plot of ground, which makes me think that it's going to be much slower in growing, if it grows at all. I don't know. Over here, we hit the first of the modded options. Hiding underneath there is the Ender.io farming station, and it's got incoming bone meal over here. It's in the back. It's got some pipes connecting the hose in, and then all of these things are connected to the random storage with a creative drive, so that we can look and see, how many things actually made it in. All the rest of this, other than this one farmer, we're using the farmer from Actually Additions. Now, this one here, we have the sprinkler from Open Blocks, and it needs water piped into it. You can't just put it on top of a water source. So hiding down here, I've got an infinite water source, and I'm giving it bone meal, which should be a double good. How exactly double good, I don't know. Again, the same sprinkler, but this time it's just water, no bone meal. Now, over here, we are using the sprinkler that comes with Cyclic. And this can sit on top of just a block of water. So it gets the benefit of hydrating this the carrots here, as well as it'll apply a random bone mealing effect as it sprinkles. Next, we have the worms from Actually Additions, and I decided to completely not hydrate this with a center block. Oops. We should not have that extra piece there because all of them have a 9x9 -1. So this is the Actually Additions worms, Actually Additions greenhouse glass, which needs a clear avenue to the sky to work right. Now, this is the AgriCraft sprinkler, and it's at a disadvantage because it does a 7x7 area. So the outer ring is not going to get fertilized, but we'll see how that goes. Over here, we have the industrial foregoing plant fertilizer with a good supply of plants fertilizing. And it's interesting because it's going this direction as it cycles through, and the farmer is going to go this direction. But it should all work out. Here, we're using the fertilized dirt from Random Things, and technically it does not need water in the center to keep it hydrated. It doesn't need water at all. It works very, very nicely. This is the fertilized dirt from Hatchery, which does need that center bit of water. And this is what you get when you have lots of chickens giving you fertilizer. You make fertilized dirt. This is a late addition to the party. This is the Agricarnation from Botania, and so I've got 4 of them scattered around so that we're completely covered. It's so easy to make 4, I'm going with 4. Just because when I make it with that. This is the same setup, but we're using the growth crystals here from Mystical Agriculture. And I have it set up below. They need to be below the farming land. And I believe you can go 5 deep and it speeds up. But we'll go with just the 1 layer and call that good. This is the growth crystals from Tiny Progressions. And that's the tier 1. the tier 2, which can act as a water source, that's why I've got it there, and the tier 3, which should provide a stronger boost. Now, these you can have multiples of, but for the 1, 2, and 3, we're just going to stay with that. And then I went hog wild over here. We've got the glass from Actual Additions. We've got the Botania Agri-Carnations. We've got the sprinkler from Open Blocks. We've got the Hatchery Fertilized Earth, the Mystical Agriculture, Growth Crystals, a whole 5 of them, and then 5 of these Tier 3 Growth Crystals. So my guess is this is going to go like gangbusters, but we will let it rip and see how it goes. I have a switch over here, which I'm going to flip, and I'm going to let this run for hours. I don't know. I may go to sleep and come back, but flipping the switch sends a signal here, which pushes it into the block, which will turn this off, and that will allow these farmers from the Actual Additions to kick off. Let it rip. Oh, there it goes. Look at him go. All right, so I'm going to let this run for a while and then come back with some results. 20 hours later. And are you ready for some results? I'm ready for some results. Now, the first result was that my stripe farm was a big fail, because the farmer from Actual Additions doesn't do the really cool right click where it takes and removes the crops and leaves the plant. No, it just breaks the plant and then replants it with whatever's in its first inventory slot, which means I got one harvest of the stripes of potatoes, and then it was carrots from then on. And that was it. So that was a big fail. But the rest of them worked exceedingly well. If we take a look at these, they ran very nicely. Now, I went through and I took out all of the carrots, and there were 6 stacks of carrots inside, and I dumped them into the container, and then I took a look at the total. Now, this is the very basic hydrated field, and it gave me 5,244 carrots. Now, if we ignore this guy, because that was the stripe, and we go to this one, which is the unhydrated field, this gave me 2,347. That's 45% of what this one did. And so that's what I'm going to go through the results. And I knew that one was going to be really bad because, no hydration, that's got to be pretty bad. This would be number 2 because it was just your bog standard, no accelerants in it whatsoever. And now let's go through what the rest of them were. So basic, we're going to say that's about 262 crops per hour. And the unhydrated is 45% of that. So that's 117. So always hydrate your crops. The next best was the Open Blocks sprinkler. And this is the one without bone meal. It was about 160% better of what the hydrated is at 426 crops per hour. Then comes the Actual Additions worms at 600. The Open Blocks sprinkler with bone meal at slightly more, 667. The AgriCraft sprinkler, 700. The Tiny Progressions Growth Crystal Tier 1 comes in at 841 crops per hour. The Random Things Fertilized Dirt, that came over 1,000. Tiny Progressions Growth Crystal Tier 2 was 1,700. The Botania with the 4 Agri-Carnations, that was almost 2,000 crops per hour. And the Mystical Agricultural Growth Accelerator, the single layer, that just topped 2,000. Then comes the Hatchery from with its fertilized dirt, and that was 2,600. The Tiny Progressions Growth Crystal Tier 3 at 2,800. The Cyclic Sprinkler at almost 3,000. The Ender IO Farming Station with lots of bone meal, over 3,000. The Industrial Foregoing plant fertilizer with who knows how many fertilizers it applied, that was almost 6,000 crops per hour. And the Actually Editions greenhouse glass tops the list at 9,600. So getting close to 10,000 crops per hour because of the greenhouse glass. And then the bananas in the corner that had all the stuff, that was at 17,000 crops per hour. So it's really going bananas. So looking at the results, the greenhouse glass is going to cost you some materials to make because you need 80 of them, and it's a lot of lapis and, assuming the basic recipe, but that's really, really good. Otherwise, if you want to be just a little bit less, the cyclic sprinkler, for a single block, it is 11 times better than your basic crops. Holy cow, 11 times better for one block. And seriously, if you're on a server, you need one. That's it. You don't need any more than that. And in fact, I would probably go with just the one cyclic sprinkler. There would be no need to do anything more than that, because holy cow, do you really need 50 gazillion crops growing per hour? No, you don't. Not on a server. Do that crap on a single player, and that works just fine. But instead, if you've got the resources, greenhouse glass. That's really amazing. And I'm going to drop all the data down in the description below so you can look at the numbers, crops per hour, and go have fun, because, have a good hoeing.
Hey!
Because nothing's better than the thrill of a dirty hoe.
All right, that's it, mister.
Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. So this has been Grok the Duck Farmer. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Frying pans. Who knew, right?